The development of consciousness. You were all thoughts within the mind of your creator as the creator saw itself in different directions, different ways, different actions, and different movement. If it needed something solved, it created something to solve it with. It was a grand game of psychological constructs for it. At this point, the creator that was thinking this all into existence became aware within its own being of what it was doing. It found that it had great love for what it had imaged into existence in its own mind and in its own thought. It moved into a place of wanting to give it life. Therefore, it endowed each particum, which was originally its own thought, so that the creator or the source would see itself in a particular role. While it was in a particular role, it would embrace that, give it a package that we'll term your intent package for it to exist and to become alive, because the creator found that it lacked all of these different faces. It loved the way that it did different things. It loved all of its own creations and its own thought. So it moved into a place of giving a portion of itself to all of its own thought, and it loved itself into existence. When it did this, it took all of those individual thoughts that had originally been within its own mind or within its own consciousness and individuated them out, giving each of them an intent package. The intent package was their programming for existence. It was what they had done in the mind of the creator, the faith of the creator itself. The intent package contained all the input necessary for each of these individual particums to actually go into existence, experience existence, live through it, and live up to the total intent of the creator. In the ultimate whole, the creator loved all of its creations, so therefore it loved them clear into existence. In this intent package, each of you were given the creator saw its own self living a certain particular role or certain particular way within its own consciousness, and gave a package of life to each particum. This intent package was then birthed into the particum, into physicality, into a physically manifested reality, this one or another. It would then take these individual particums, isolate them so that the creator could experience itself through them, and hopefully move them into a place of individuating and becoming its equals. A portion of this intent package all of you received was the original intent of your creator within the consciousness of your creator. In whatever way the creator saw itself playing out the role was a portion of your original intent package. Another portion of your original intent package was a desire to maintain and remember everything you had experienced, so that the creator of your being would have a more full experience of manifesting reality. You were created and given a module to maintain and remember that, and we will label that a soul. It was created to take every experience it had ever had, imprint it, hold it, maintain it for record, so that the source or your creator would be able to fully embrace that experience. The creator loved everything within its own consciousness so grandly that it wanted it to exist. A portion of your intent package was to exist and to come alive, because the creator was trying to make all of these faces of itself, its own consciousness, come alive. It wanted to actually embrace them each individually rather than just be a mass within its own consciousness. Your intent package contained your original intent or your original face of your creator. It contained within it a memory chip, if you wish to term it, called the soul, to record the experiences of this individual particum. It also contained within the package the desire to want to live and to exist. It also created time and space, a medium for holding each separate from the other so that they could live out their intent package. The whole intent package was to become a different face of the creator in consciousness. This is how you were originally created into existence. At this point, you were just consciousness particles out of your creator. You were not a full consciousness. You have the ability to be the total consciousness, but you presently are just particles out of it, because your source and your creator saw itself in all these different faces and it loved them into existence. Each of you are one of those different faces. As it loved each of you into existence, it wanted you to become equals to it, because you already were. You were portions of its consciousness, so you already were it. But you were in a place that you were minute portions of its consciousness. So now, instead of being one consciousness, you are particums of consciousness. Each of these particums of consciousness, because of their intent package, could not interconnect fully with each other. The Creator kept them separate in consciousness so that they each had a package that would allow them to develop their own consciousness as they would develop back into the full awareness of the Creator. This was one way of birthing what you term creation of spirit. This is how one form of it is done. Each of these particles were held in an intent package and loved into existence by the Creator. They were faces of the Creator. Every one of you are a face. So as you were loved into existence, you began to feel some separation from the Creator. You had originally been full, complete, total consciousness, and now you are a part of consciousness, not a whole consciousness. This put you in a place where you felt oblivious of knowing who and what you were. This created your original sense of separation. You could not function as the whole consciousness or the whole Creator or source any longer. You had the full ability because you were intended to be and already were one of its faces. As you took that and moved it into your medium called time and space with your intent package, you felt separated. Since you felt separated from your wholeness, you felt rejected by it. You felt as if you had no way of knowing. This is where your lack of ability to know the larger picture began to come from. This is why all of you within your being knew there was something much more conscious, more knowing, grander, and larger than your own beings, because you came from it. Now you were a particum of it. The soul portion of you was like a chip in a computer and was created to hold data. It was created to take the individual particum and individual face of the Creator, hold it in the time-space medium, and record everything that the Creator experienced as that face. The soul was originally just designed to hold data. It was designed to retain anything that this face, this module or particum did on its journey so that the Creator could embrace itself physically manifested through these particums. These particums all of a sudden started knowing that they were separate. They were originally one consciousness. Now they're particums of consciousness, which meant there's some little bit of recognition of consciousness within them, and so they began to see themselves as separate from the whole. As they began to see themselves separate from the whole, it created within their being an overloading of this soul memory. They saw themselves separate from the whole and therefore were no longer connecting with the larger consciousness to maintain the total knowingness. Since they no longer maintained the total knowingness, they felt separate from it and were more isolated into their individual packages. At this point in time, that little spark of consciousness that came as a particum of the larger consciousness of the Creator started hurting because it was separate. It wasn't the same form of pain as what you term pain now, but you translate your pain from that. The Creator was one whole consciousness and was still trying to connect, communicate, and view all of these particums within its own consciousness. Each of these little particums are one of you. You are each a face of the Creator. Now that the larger source of the consciousness cannot connect with them, you have separation, which is much like having glitches in your consciousness. Whenever any of you are trying to think something and it is just not there, you have a glitch and it creates a frustration. All of a sudden, these individual particums within the consciousness of the Creator started having glitches. The consciousness is trying to maintain its continuity and its flow. It is trying to move it into the whole entire knowingness of what it originally was. But each of these particums, because of their intent package, is now a glitch. Every time you in your own minds get a glitch, or when you're trying to think of something and you have it right there and it is gone, it frustrates you. These little particums with their intent packages were glitches. Since they were each a glitch, all of a sudden that glitch could trigger something within the consciousness. When it did that, it created frustration for them. This is the beginning foundation of what you term struggle upon your plane now. One of the most frustrating things for most of you is when you're in a thought. The thought seems to flee from you when you just had it. It is very frustrating to you. Those particums that each of you became and these intent packages are the same. They were glitches within the larger consciousness of the Creator. Since they were glitches, they were now conscious that didn't have the whole picture, and it created frustration. The soul wasn't created to record frustration because the Creator was love, joy, and totalness. It didn't know or have the experience of frustration. So here you have an intent package, one of you with a soul. The soul was not designed to understand or process any form of struggle. You now have frustration because it perceives itself to be a glitch in the consciousness of the whole. As it does that, the glitch will actually create frustration within you. That frustration manifests itself as struggle into physical existence. Now, the soul, which could not understand or interpret frustration, begins to develop a little bit of independent consciousness based on struggle. The glitch creates an electrical charge. As it does this, it starts triggering your consciousness. As it begins triggering this consciousness, it starts to remind you of your whole intent package, the intent to become a creator or the same essence, and that you were a face of the creator. But the soul doesn't have that awareness of that intent in the same way, because it was created to record the data of the creator. It wasn't created to necessarily make new creators, but just to record data. So you're giving it all this information that it doesn't know what to do with. Now it has to begin to process it. As it begins to process what is coming in, it is becoming overloaded. In this overload, it is much like any electrical circuit that becomes overloaded. It starts sparking and creating a form of pain. Now you have a consciousness and a soul, but it was a portion of a consciousness, not the whole consciousness of the creator. This particum out of the mind of the creator is now seeing itself separate. That means it is beginning to wake up, or it is beginning to have some form of intelligence. We will label this artificial intelligence, because if it was in the larger intelligence, it would be the whole creator. But these are faces of the creator trying to be grown and inspired into being a whole creator on their own. Therefore, that is why we will label it artificial. Not that there is anything wrong with them. The reason it is artificial intelligence is because it isn't a full consciousness yet. It is not consciously aware and awake. These little particles, because of the sparking and because they are a glitch within the larger consciousness, are waking up a little bit and are beginning to try to create artificial intelligence. It is trying to draw from that conscious particum to tell it what it is and to try to explain to it artificially what the wholeness of the consciousness is. The artificial intelligence perceives all the incoming consciousness as struggle. You have incoming consciousness, but it didn't know what it is or what to do with it. So as it comes in, it is trying to understand. Since it does not understand, it will create struggle for it. If you overload anything with data it cannot understand, it will go into a form of frustration. This frustration creates greater separation. You have all of this consciousness within the intent package. And remember, each of these intent packages is one of you. You have all of this consciousness within you that is struggling to tell it what it is. It is trying to tell the intent package and trying to grow it into a full consciousness equal to its creator. But you don't have a mechanism within there yet to form that. If the creator had wanted you all to be clones, you would have been. The creator or the source you came from wanted each of you to be individual, which meant that each of you needed to develop your own consciousness package, the totality of your own consciousness. This was the form designed to create a place wherein you would first develop out of that consciousness particum. That is part of your intent package, a form of artificial intelligence leading you to intelligence, leading you into your own consciousness. So now these particums are in frustration because the consciousness particum within them is trying to tell them what they are. It is trying to say, we are a creator, we are a God. The growing consciousness can't interpret it and doesn't know what to do with it. As the larger consciousness comes in, it is creating struggle. All the struggle that comes into your life is trying to understand consciousness. Anything that you understand is not struggle. The spark is waking up and trying to create its own consciousness. As it does, it finds this form of struggle. Struggle is termed pain of the soul. The soul hurts because it is awakening. It is beginning to create an artificial intelligence within it as the soul is awakening and trying to become conscious. It is aware that it is separate from the whole consciousness. Since it is aware that it is separate from the whole consciousness, it begins to trigger a short circuit, which it interprets as pain. What it will do now is begin to find a way to heal the pain. As it develops a way to heal the pain, that is how it is going to create intelligence and individual consciousness. The internal portion of you hurts. The hurt is because there is incoming data that cannot be interpreted. Since the incoming data cannot be interpreted, it is creating a frustration for it, which is struggle and pain. That pain can become very deep as that consciousness is starting to awaken. As it is awakening, That artificial intelligence is also waking up and trying to become fully aware, awake, and conscious. As it is doing that, it will come up with pain, and most of this pain is a separation from the larger consciousness. It is because here is something, and I should know this. I already know this somewhere. It is because that conscious particum within your intent package was part of a whole consciousness that knew it all. It was fully conscious. That consciousness package says, here's something coming in, and I should know this. I do know what this is, but I can't find it. It is because it is separated from the whole rest of the consciousness of the Creator. Since it is separated from the whole rest of the consciousness of the Creator, it feels that it must have done something that was wrong and was kicked out. It feels like it has been rejected. It feels like there must be something wrong with it because it can't process properly. So it hurts. This is one of the forms of the original separation. It hurts in consciousness. Since it hurts in consciousness, it will develop or design a way to heal. It will design a way to quit hurting. One way of stopping the hurt is to develop image and ego so you don't have to feel it. But the fastest way to heal it and the surest way to heal it is to develop the consciousness. Pain in the soul is the consciousness that was the larger you trying to tell you something. It is trying to tell you something, and the artificial intelligence within you that is trying to wake up can't relate. It knows it, but it doesn't know what it is. Healing comes for the soul when you become conscious. Each time you hurt within your being, take that hurt and find out what it is telling you. That puts you into consciousness and eases the pain. When most of you feel pain, you cover it up. You add another layer to your image. You build stronger walls. You build stronger barriers, blockages, so you don't feel the pain. It doesn't heal it, and it does not make you aware or conscious. That covers it up. That is why the pain from the soul, as you deposit it in your being, lasts for eons. It is because it has never been dealt with. It is because you are covering it up. You're putting one band-aid on top of the other, and you've built a beautiful image of whom and what you think you are, but you don't know anything in consciousness. You haven't embraced anything in consciousness. To truly heal it and to truly heal you deep within your being, you need to go into a space of understanding, and you're only going to do that through feeling what is there. The consciousness comes in. If you allow it to be felt, it may hurt, yes, but the understanding will come with it. When you have done that, it gives you an emotional embracement, which is consciousness and intelligence. And then the little artificial intelligence particum that is waking up heals because it knows. Knowingness is the healing principle. As it comes in, it heals. You gain the knowingness, you gain the wisdom, and you grow in consciousness. Consciousness, in its true understanding, is what is alive. Everything else is variations or distortions of it, but consciousness is truly alive, and it is joy.